Alrighty boys, so heading up to the shop to work on the 240. It's Thanksgiving weekend and we had a bunch of people here at our house for Thanksgiving yesterday, and naturally everybody wanted to go for rides in the Turbo 240, which was totally awesome. I've been looking forward to giving everybody rides in the car for a long time, so yesterday was the day for that. Got to give my dad a ride, two of my brothers, niece, nephew. Yeah, dad, two brothers, niece, nephew. I may be forgetting somebody in there. And the car did okay. Everybody had a good time. The car was fast and fun. But it started to develop some little issue during the couple of test drives where it wanted to backfire a little bit and cut out. And basically lose all power for a split second. Then I would have to get out of it and get back in it. And it'd be okay. And that started out like that and then got worse and worse until my final test drive with the last person that wanted to go. And we really only got one good rip on that drive, and then everything else, it was a mess. It just wants to cut out every time you get into boost. So some sort of problem brewing there in the background on the car. I have no idea what it is just yet, but it seemed to be getting worse with heat, maybe because the car was getting hotter and hotter the more I beat on it. Engine temp stayed cool, 220 and under the entire time, so it wasn't like the car was overheating, but maybe something's getting hot and the problem gets worse the hotter it gets, maybe. Also, the car was getting lower and lower on fuel all day, so I think it's a long shot that it could have been a fuel problem, but who knows, might have been that. So I'm going to put some fresh E85 in it right now, hook up the laptop and go for a test drive and see if it's still doing it or see what it does and go from there. Cheers, boys. No more beer for me, just LaCroix. That was actually good. All right, let's get the feel in this sucker. So another note about the LaCroix. I don't know if any of you are beer drinkers or alcohol drinkers. I'm sure some of you are. I've been a beer drinker for a long time, like over a decade. And I finally decided to quit alcohol completely, which was a big deal for me. So it's been about 3.5 weeks or so since I quit cold turkey, and I was a daily beer drinker and drank quite a bit of beer. So my habit of drinking beer just kind of got out of hand, and it was just to a point where I was just consuming way too much alcohol every single day. And I wasn't addicted to it, but I was definitely dependent on it. Like, it was a stress reliever, a thing I did every day, and a thing I looked forward to every evening. And maybe there's nothing wrong with that for most people, but for me, there was definitely something wrong with that eventually. Got to a point where I just didn't want to live like that anymore. So yeah, quit 3 weeks ago, and no more beer. LaCroix. It is actually good. All right, let's get this cold girl started. It's about, I don't know, maybe 50 degrees here or so today. It's not bad, but it's definitely not warm. I don't know, tell me guys, do you let your wideband O2 sensor heat up before you start the car? Some people say to let this thing do its heat cycle, and some people say it doesn't matter. Kind of freaks me out to do it without letting it heat up now, because I don't want to destroy that sensor. But you wouldn't do that on any stock car, and some stock cars have wide bands. At least I think they do. Anyway, the shoe's warm. I bet it doesn't start on the first try. Let's try and see. It tried. Nah, cold start needs some more tuning for sure. There we go. Alright, let's get the laptop started. It's been a good little laptop too, by the way. HP Pavilion. Nice little laptop. Let's get it hooked up to the computer. I don't need this. This is for my tablet dash. Laptop's running. Plug this guy in here. Got lucky, had it turned the right way the first time. That never happens. Alright, wake up, computer. Okay. Password's in there. Don't need that. Tuner Studio. Come to life, Tuner Studio. There we go. Open last project. No, I don't want to update. Ever. There we go. Wake up, girl, wake up. Okay, everything looks okay. We're sitting at 87 degrees coolant temp, so we need to let it warm up for a little while here. But everything looks fine. Alright, just gonna let it warm up for a minute. So while I'm waiting for this thing to cool up, I'm going to try to fix something on my Tuner Studio here. So this button in the middle is my data logging button. I just hit that one time and the car will start a data log. But that button is really hard to hit with your thumb because it's so narrow, or your finger. I'm going to try to make that button a little bigger here real quick while I've got a couple of minutes. Not sure how to do that exactly. Maybe I can just drag it, make it bigger. Oh, look at that. Look how easy that is. Thank you, Mega Squirt. Thank you, Tuner Studio. I'm going to make this guy nice and fat. Awesome. That was easy. Cool. Let's try it out and see if it works. Oh, yeah. When it's red, we're data logging. And when it's gray, the log's over. Sweet. Hey, I just realized I don't think I ever showed you guys how I operate my exhaust cutout valve that I built. So I have a cable actuated exhaust cutout valve that opens the exhaust up, and this is the mechanism that I built to operate it. So I just reach down behind the passenger seat here and I grab this little handle I built here and I pull it up and I hook it right there, and then the exhaust is fully open on the 4-inch dump. And then I don't know if you can even hear the exhaust, maybe got louder there. And then when I'm done and I want to be quiet back in the neighborhood, I just reach back and I go like this. And that's it, the car gets quiet again. Actually works out pretty sick. I could have went with an electric cutout, and those are cool. And then they've got these vacuum and boost operated cutouts, and they're cool. But they all have their ups and downs. None of them are really perfect. For various reasons, and so anyway, a manually operated valve was actually perfect for what I wanted, but nobody made one. There's a couple manuals on the market that suck and nothing at all like what I built, so I just set out to build one. I built it out of a throttle body, and then I fabricated this whole bracket system, and then the cable that actuates it all is a throttle cable out of a Toyota MR2 that I had. So that's how that works. But anyway, it's working really good. Alright, so the car is warming up here a little bit. What are we at? 172. Okay, I think we're good to go. We're going to back her out of the shop. My big turbo waiting on me. Alright, let's back her out of here. Try not to run into the shop door here. really good off boost, so hopefully this test drive will tell us how she runs on boost. Well, it will tell us how she runs on boost. Hopefully she runs good. Seatbelt on. All right, I'm gonna start a data log and let's do a pull. Perfectly fine. Now that was not full throttle, but it was a pretty good hard pull. It did not cut out or buck or do anything strange. So I think I'm going to pull over real quick and stop this data log and start a new one. So we're going to start a new data log and drive up here where the road straightens out and give it a real hard pull. And we got a car coming. As soon as he passes, I'm going to get on it. Gosh dang, boy, she is fast, I'll tell you what. Fast, and it did not cut out that time. That's the good news. Ooh, this car moves. Man, it got sideways on me too. I hope that comes through on the video. I had to let out because I was I was turning an angle there that I didn't want to turn. Well, what can I say? I ran good and it did not cut out, so I'm happy about that, but it's still a mystery as to why it did it in the first place. I hate problems that come and go like that because you never know when they're going to come back and bite you in the butt whenever you're in a race or giving somebody a ride, trying to show off your hard work, and all of a sudden the car doesn't work, something like that happens. That sucks, but I don't know. She was awfully low on fuel when I made the passes yesterday where it was cutting out, so for all I know, maybe I was sloshing all the fuel to the back of the tank and starving the pump and dropping fuel pressure, or I guess that's a possibility. Who knows? Well, I'm happy she did good right there. Alright guys, let's try one more pull right here. See how she do. She do good, boy. She do real good. Man, she's strong. Okay, so that's 3 good hard pulls and 0 cutouts. So I think she's okay. I'm gonna call that problem gone for today anyway. Shut this guy off. Yeah, she's okay. Okay guys, so I'm gonna attempt to show you guys how well this turbo spools. I've set set up the TPS gauge and a boost gauge side by side in Tutor Studio, and I'm going to try to record the screen and show you guys at what TPS percentage the turbo builds usable boost at. So I am in third gear, just cruising along here at about, I don't know, 30 mile an hour or so. And here's the gauges. So I don't know how well that showed it, or if it showed it at all. But I just rolled into the throttle there, just added more and more TPS until the turbo started to respond. So she's very responsive. I hope it comes through on the video. I'll do one more shot of that here in just a second as soon as I get to a straight section. I'm trying to do that without making the transmission downshift. I want to show you how it reacts just in a throttle roll-on situation without the transmission doing anything. Okay, we got a straight section up here, so I'm going to roll into the throttle, show you the boost and the TPS on the screen. Alright, so the transmission definitely downshifted because I gave it a little too much throttle, but that's okay. I think it still showed you what we were after there. So this is the VS Racing 7875 Turbo. She spools up real easy on this 5.3, that's for sure. Makes a lot of power. It's actually a pretty incredible turbocharger for what they cost, which is not that much. And for how physically small they are, they fit into just about any engine bay. And they can make a lot of power on a 5.3. My buddy has a 6.0, and he dynoed at 730 horsepower at 19 PSI on the same turbo. I haven't been able to get a good dyno number on mine because of the way my torque converter acts on the dyno, but it'll probably go a little further on my 5.3 than it did on his 6.0. I could probably see 750 horsepower to the tires out of this turbo. So the turbo is no slouch. It's cheap, it works extremely well, it spools very fast. They're dead reliable, they basically never break, you never hear one wearing out or breaking. And they make well over 700 horsepower on a V8, so they are the real deal, that's for sure. It's a good turbo for a lot of situations. I'm almost tempted just to leave it on this car for quite a while, but I do have that new VS Racing 80mm, or excuse me, VS Racing 85mm that I really want to get on the car, because that turbo, because of its bigger turbine side, is really going to wake this car up and allow the top end, allow the engine to breathe in the top end even better than it's doing right now. Back pressure is going to be a lot lower. The engine's going to be a lot happier. It's going to be freer revving and make more power in the top end. It will make a little less in the bottom end, potentially. But we don't really care about that on this car. This car weighs under 3,000 pounds. It doesn't take much torque to move this down the road fast. So if we lose a little low and mid-range torque, that's okay. We can sacrifice some of that for a lot more top end and be just fine. Alright, back on the road. You can see my black marks. Let's make another pull real quick. Oh yeah. She's happy, she's healthy, she's making all kinds of power. She puts on speed like nobody's business. Well, it's all good news. Very happy that she's okay. Nothing's really hurt. I think it's time to go back and put her in the shop, look it over, make sure things are okay. Live to fight another day. Alright, well, she did okay. So I don't know what was plaguing her yesterday when she was hot, and I was hot lapping it back and forth with all the different people that wanted rides with it. It was cutting out pretty hard and bucking and stuff. I don't really know what that was, unless it was just me being super low on fuel, maybe lower than I thought I was. It seems unlikely, but it could be that, or it could just be something, some bug in the system exists where when it gets real good and heat soaked, whatever that problem is starts to rear its ugly head or whatever. But today she did just fine. It's making a lot of power, pulling super hard, as it usually does, and feeling really, really good. So anyway, that's very good news for me and for the car. Let me flip the camera around here. So yeah, 78, 75 turbo doing super good, running about 15 psi, and I've had it up to 20. We can definitely push this sucker, I'd say, up to at least 25 psi and dial in the tune at that point and see how she's doing. At that point, she's probably making an honest 750 to the tire, or on the low side, probably 700 to the tire on the low side, especially with this new BTR intake. And then we can go do some draggy pulls out in Mexico and time it and see if we can beat our previous best, which was a 577 on the 60 to 130. Or you guys let me know, we can skip all that and just move right into big turbo land and get this VS S485 going and get that sucker installed on the car and then see how she does that way. That's going to take a lot of fab work. I'm going to have to cut off my T4 flange down there and refabricate from that just on the left side of the wastegate. From that point out, I'll have to refabricate, and then I'll have to refabricate the connection to the exhaust system right here, and then I'll have to refabricate the connection to the intercooler out of the compressor outlet, and then fiddle around with the oil lines and stuff. So that's going to be kind of a big job for me. Take quite a bit of work to get that turbo in, and once it's in, there's really no going back to the 78, 75. So it's kind of a permanent mod. The 7875 will come out and probably never go back in because of all the work it takes to swap back and forth. So you guys let me know what you think. Should we keep the 7875 in there and wring its little neck and get all of it out that we can possibly get out of it? Or should we just say, nah, that turbo ain't going to take us where we want to go anyway, so let's just pull it on out and upgrade to the big boy, the S485? Let me know what you think in the comments below. I am genuinely curious to know what you guys would like to see happen to this car and what you would like to see on the turbo choice here. That turbo is going on this car one way or another, no doubt about that. It's just a matter of when I do it. I kind of wanted to get my money's worth out of this and run it to the max, but on the other hand, that's sometimes a good way to hurt a car and hurt a motor, taking a turbo and spinning it too hard because of all the back pressure. So would we be money ahead and safer to just yank the 7875 and go on up to the S485? Would it be the safer thing to do? Would it be the more interesting thing to do? What do you guys want to see? Let me know what you think. Comment below. And if you enjoy what I'm doing and want to stay in touch with the project and stay in touch with all the cars and everything I do here on the channel, just subscribe and like this video if you would, and I would very much appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys watching through to the end here. And I will see you guys on the next one.